Greetings and thanks for joining us for our virtual series we call Cultivated Spaces. I'm Michael Boriskin. I'm the Artistic and Executive Director of Copland House, which is a creative center for American music based right here in Aaron Copland's National Historic Landmark home just north of New York City. Everything we do here is about championing American composers past and present. And one of our flagship initiatives is called Cultivate, which is an intensive all-scholarship, week-long creative workshop and mentoring program we've produced every year for almost a decade. This Cultivated Spaces series grew out of the pandemic as we transitioned from the public concerts where our Music from Copland House ensemble would normally have premiered the 6 new works we commissioned for Cultivate 2020. I also want to acknowledge I Care If You Listen, powered by the American Composers Forum, as our exclusive media partner for this series. Today's program features Sunbin Kim and the intriguing and really provocative work that he wrote for Cultivate called Slow Cancellation. The piece seems to be a product of the surreal world of the pandemic that we've all been living in and struggling with over the past year, with its absence of personal connections and public events. Sunbin is going to speak a bit about the piece before we hear a complete performance by Music from Copland House. And then please be sure to stick around after that because Sunbin will be back to chat with composer clarinetist Derek Bermel, Cultivate's director. Our performers are clarinetist Moran Katz, violinist Paula Garcia, cellist Alexis Pia Gerlach, and pianist Margaret Kampmeier. So please enjoy the music, and here is Sunbin.
Hello everybody, and thank you for listening. Now, this piece you're about to hear that I wrote is called Slow Cancellation. Slow cancellation refers to of the future, a concept that was first talked about by an Italian philosopher called Franco Berardi, or better known as Bifo, in his book called After the Future. In that book, he talks about the idea of a future that inevitably climbs towards progress, so that is to say, improvement of society or humanity in the linear sense, was slowly being weathered away. And that began in earnest beginning in the 1980s when the last revolutionary movements in America and Europe in the 1970s had ended, being defeated through sheer attrition, in a lot of ways naked sabotage as well. And really nothing the same replaced it after that. And for Bifo, that meant that not only a kind of political stagnation had set in, but also a cultural one to match. So for example, in media or pop culture or in musical scene, and even the avant-garde in a lot of ways. And in that place was replaced by a kind of nostalgic looking back in the past in both places as a kind of escapism in a reactionary way. In this process, and so to represent this process, I made 3 reimagining reconstructions of what I would like to call lost pieces. For example, pieces that have supposed to have endings but were not finished, or a lost piece that we only have sketches of, or a score that we have a score but we can't read it because nobody knows how to read it. And these 3 imagined reconstructions represent the future, the past, and the present. And the present is important because that's a real person, and that represents a real person, a disenfranchised one, but without a future that will fight for them. And now against all of these, you'll hear a really extremely harsh, grinding, really the most alienating kind of noise you can imagine that I call machine music. And you also hear a different kind of music that is like a self-portrait from one of my sketches. And you'll hear all 5 of these blend in and out of each other. Well, one after the other, they're slowly cancelled as the machine slowly grows in strength and brutality. And that's also what this piece is about. So thank you for listening.
No, Yesenin, I'm not joking. The slump in my throat Gilgamesh wept and said to Urshanabi, "Counsel me, O ferryman. For whom have my arms toiled so hard? For whom have one
The
drunk
idea
the
that
blood
the
of my
future has
heart?
disappeared is, of
Not
course,
for myself
rather
did I find the
whimsical.
bounty,
As
but for the
poetic, these
lion
lines
that
sound
have I
much
done
from
favor."
more.
They will
But when
finally
I say
realize
future,
rebels though they
I'm not
be,
referring to the direction of
they are
time.
but weak
As
rebels,
the feeling of powerlessness hangs
incapable of
over us,
sustaining
we
their
keep doing the
rebellion.
same things over and over. Little by little, we forget the feeling of really
A new
living,
MIT
and we grow
study
unable
suggests
to
an
tell
algorithm
apart being
can predict
alive from
someone's
being
behavior
dead.
better than other
At this
humans
point,
can.
What happens
only a thin
when
line
the young are
separates
no
life from
longer
death.
capable of
We are
surprises?
the machine.
The idea that the body apart over and over, humans consent to tell apart from
Little by little,
alive,
the young are no
the
longer
idea
rebels though. The idea, the same
over
thing.
and over,
Little by little, we, you,
tell apart
little
from
by
alive,
little,
from
the young are
idea
no
that the
longer
body
rebels
apart
though.
over and
The
over,
idea,
humans
the same thing.
tell apart from alive, from
You,
the idea that
little
the
by
body
little,
apart
the young
over
are
and
no
over,
longer
humans consent to
rebels though.
tell apart
The
from
idea,
alive,
the
the
same
idea
thing.
that the body
Little by little,
apart.
we.
Hi, everybody. My name is Derek Bermel, and I'm the program director for Cultivate at the Copland House. And very excited to just have heard this work by Sunbin Kim, Slow Cancellation. And I'm very happy that Sunbin is here with me. So welcome, Sunbin.
Hello. Hello. Hello,
Great
everyone.
to see you.
Mhm.
And this clarinet quartet, or whatever we want to call it, you
Mhm.
actually called it a piece for a clarinetist, a violinist, a cellist,
I
and a
mean,
pianist.
it's like, yes, and I actually call it like the Quartet for the End of Time, the ensemble, I guess, because and that's actually significant because this is also about the end of the end of the future.
Yeah, Lost Time.
Yes,
Yeah,
lost
I
future.
really saw that parallel between this great work by Olivier Messiaen
Mhm.
for the same instrumentation,
Mhm.
and there's something dreamlike about your work that comes
Mhm.
across that way to me. I don't know if it does to you.
I do get that impression because it is about like the nostalgia for the time that never was, and that's invested in like the various like reference to like to different styles this piece has.
Oh
And
yeah, it's full of these different styles. You have um, references to many different. You have
Mhm.
references to the Roslovet Sonata,
Mhm.
kind of Russian futurist composer, I guess you
Yes,
could call him.
yes, yes.
The Bach Art of the Fugue, and
Mhm.
to work by Julius Eastman called Buddha, uh,
Mhm.
the American Julius Eastman, the American composer
Mhm.
who passed away in the 80s.
Mhm.
Um, um, but or not, I'm sorry, not in the 80s, in the 90s, I suppose. But then you also have machine music, and you have parts of an old sketch of your pieces. So all these different this different music comes together, and you create like I said, almost like a dream-like texture.
Yes.
Yeah. Can you tell us about the process of writing this piece?
Well, like I first started by like actually like almost reconstructing these different lost pieces. The three lost pieces are the Roslovet's a hypothetical third sonata, which we don't he actually wrote but I don't have anymore. So um, and there's the ending of the Auto Fugue, which if you've heard that piece, it suddenly cuts off. Um, So like, and third piece, Julius Eastman is actually that is on paper. That is a real score that you can look at, and it's the one page that's shaped like an egg. Um, but like it's almost like uninterpretable because he didn't write how to interpret it. Like he just like he preferred to like do it in person.
Right.
So
So its interpretation's kind of open.
yeah, so the start piece. So what I did was basically reconstruct or like imagine how this piece was like.
In other words, I mean, you're really taking from so many different styles
Yeah.
and historical periods of
Mhm.
music, and I guess the point was to maybe it's a little bit existentialist. I don't know if
Yes.
your thinking is that, but you have these texts that happen at the beginning and end, which
Hmm.
really suggest that we're at a very strange point in history.
Yes. Yes. Definitely. Basically, this is the references about from again taken from quite a few different sources. There are also the references to like the idea of the slow cancellation itself, like the well, the term originates from writer Franco Berardi or before Berardi, who wrote something called After the Future, um, and like which is about like this concept of like the future being lost.
Yeah, I love how you did that musically because you were able to start making them disappear by using these extended techniques
Hmm.
musically,
Hmm.
which reduce the amount of pitch we hear, and instead we
Yes.
just start hearing sound, and then
Hmm.
gradually they dissipate into
Hmm.
into this emptiness. Well, it certainly has a very mysterious quality, and the way you framed it with the text is poignant because we
Hmm.
you know we're
And
at
that's like yeah, that's the like basically the real question, like what do we do, like what are we supposed to do, like uh that should be like your moment of the moment of realization that like what are we supposed to do.
What was it like for you composing this during the pandemic? Because, it's made us live our lives and even our artistic lives completely different.
Hmm. um like I'll be honest, like I kind of wrote this in a really bad when I was in a really bad way. I mean, I think all of us, especially in the beginning, were in a really bad way, and that's probably like why the text was so like so dark, I guess. Um,
Did the next thing you do was a polka or
you said
after
what?
this?
Actually, I wrote something like a piano piece, but no, it's not like a I mean, I could do that. I guess like if you're being ironic or something. I do have a piece where I like do like ironic K-pop.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But here there you weren't being ironic. I mean, it was a deep a kind of a deep dive
Yeah.
into the darkness.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, and like basically yeah, the like the loss of both like the future and like I guess the past. But
Well, I mean, I felt when I listened to this piece almost like I just took a course in modern history of the world,
mhm.
and you had so many elements in it that fit together very beautifully, also just conceptually, um, and so there's a lot to think about and dwell on in this piece, and I hope it gets many more performances,
Oh,
but.
thank you.
It was great having you and getting
Oh,
to
thank
know
you.
your music
Oh,
and
thank
thank
you.
you so much for joining us.
Oh, thank you.
And I wanted to say to the audience that we're going to hear next week at this time please join us again because we'll hear Scott Lee's work Between the Lines, which will be the final one in this series. But thank you to the American Composers Forum for presenting this, and thank you, Sunbin Kim, for joining us.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for inviting me.